Good afternoon. Welcome to Remote Work Wednesday on behalf of the K-State Extension Community Vitality Team. I'm Ron Wilson, Director of the Huck Boyd Institute for Rural Development at K-State, part of the K-State Extension Community Vitality Group. Many thanks to Deborah Cole, my coworker, who's State Program Leader Coordinator for K-State Extension Community Vitality. She's helping with the program as always. The K-State Extension Community Vitality Team has long been interested in the implications of remote and hybrid work for our citizens and our communities. And this free Zoom call on the second Wednesday of each month is to learn about the opportunities and challenges of remote and hybrid work. Over the past 2 years, the state of Kansas, and oh yeah, that reminds me, so next month, our Remote Work Wednesday will again be on the second Wednesday. It'll be on August 12th. Chuck Dion, who is a program manager with the Digital Ambassador Program and a longtime call center manager who's working remotely and serving various rural telecom companies, will be our speaker. So make sure you join us on August 12th. Over the past 2 years, the state of Kansas has launched a new program to recruit talent, both remote and in person. I would note that I come to this with an interest in the implications for remote work, but this program serves both remote workers and in-person workers, and perhaps, in fact, more in-person workers. We'll hope to learn about that. When the legislature launched this program, they chose to vest that program in the office of the state treasurer, who will tell us about it today with his colleague, Kathy. My friend Stephen Johnson, we're honored to have you, was born and raised on a cattle and grain farm near Assyria, Kansas, earned a degree in agricultural economics at Kansas State, where he was elected student body president and graduated with honors. He continued his education at the University of Chicago, where he received a master's in business administration with an emphasis in finance and business policy. Stephen continues to farm wheat, soybeans, corn, and milo on the family farm. He was elected to the state legislature in 2010, where he served in several leadership roles. In 2022, he was elected state treasurer of Kansas. So Stephen and Kathy, please tell us about this talent recruitment program.
Well, great to be with you. Thanks for the chance. Thanks to everyone for joining. Appreciate you taking time. I hope you can maybe get lunch worked in over this hour as well. But just appreciate you. Great to work with Extension. I very much appreciate that mission, the long-standing history of helping us thrive across the state and how we can do that better. That's actually a pretty exciting mission, and I like looking into that a number of ways. We did that with some other legislative efforts earlier, and my current mission is more related to financial literacy and how to make people comfortable with that. So we may explore other opportunities to work together over time where we can make your mission ever more impactful for citizens across the state. So a very important one that I always look forward to a conversation and how we can expand or increase that impact. So Home in the Heartland program, as Ron mentioned, is one that was added. I believe you had them speak with you earlier in the year, the Make My Move group. So that is a vendor who is pretty successful at the program. If you want a turnkey solution that you hand to someone else to work through, to lead that process, can also be done by, of course, any community on their own. At a high level, we're looking at what incentives can we have to bring members of the workforce that we need to Kansas. A standing problem that we'll continue to struggle with, I hope. I hope we continue to have demand for workers. That means our innovation is working as we want it to work across the state, but meeting that need is a challenge. So the legislature had worked on this tool. We've finished up our first year in working through that. We've learned a few things from the grant process and a few things from those communities who have had success. But essentially a tool that is set to bring one more incentive for someone to make that move, to pull the trigger and come to Kansas. So Kathy Sachs in my office is the one who figured out how to put it together. It was assigned to our office. And how many resources came with that, Kathy?
They did not appropriate any money for that.
But so Kathy handles all of the issues that I have right around me, including this particular challenge. she just jumped in and said, I'm going to figure out, how do we make it work? How do we communicate with the communities? How do we handle reporting? How do we make sure that the dollars actually transfer or measured appropriately and returned to the legislature? So she is the one that has taken on with that. And I might let you drive if you want to say a few things. If you want to drive and share, you just tell me when.
Great. Well, we'll start by sharing now. So,
all right.
Thank you for asking us to present today. We're always happy to talk about the good work that we're doing in the State Treasurer's Office. If we have extra time, I'm sure the Treasurer would love to talk to you about our first-time home buyers or our the new Trump account responsibilities we have, or any number of other things. So, but we'll start with Home in the Heartland. Home in the Heartland by statute was called the Kansas Community Talent Recruitment Program. Go ahead. Thank you.
Well, that should work. I'll get over to this one. Scrolling works, but not the keys. There we go.
Okay, so what we're going to go through today is why this program exists, how Home in the Heartland works, who can apply and benefit, how funding match works, and what makes applications competitive, and the next step for communities. Many of my slides, I feel like, are redundant to you. You could probably speak to it better than I can, but communities don't grow by accident. They grow because leaders make intentional investments in people. So what's the challenge? Kansas is competing for people, workers, and families. And you all know this with the remote work, that's a new thing. So we're no longer just competing to get people to move to our cities. We're commuting, or I'm sorry, we're trying to compete with people from all over the United States and sometimes the world. So Kansas is competing for that talent because employers need workers, families have choices. Communities compete nationally, growth compounds. So if you can get new residents, those new residents can move you in a direction to grow even further. And one thing we'll want to talk about is how much local leadership matters. So why population growth matters? Well, one household can have a ripple effect. A new residence causes new housing demands, which can mean stronger schools, business growth, more workers, and then the cycle continues. So what's the opportunity? Home in the Heartland gives communities a flexible tool to recruit talent. It starts with the state's investment that we were given $1.5 million in order to share that with communities. Those local partners are cities, counties, tribes, nonprofits, employers, and the local incentives. The communities design their own tools. So what might work in Kansas City might be completely different from what works in Dodge City. So it gives you an opportunity to decide what makes you unique and what makes you're the right community for these people. And new households, as we've said, strengthen the local economy over time. So the program aims to recruit households, and that's hard to do. But with remote, again, it gets a little easier. We want to support employers. In some communities, they're looking for people to come and take some good jobs for them. We want to build community. And we want to encourage long-term residents, not people who come for a while. We want them to move here. We want them to raise their children here. We want to increase payroll, spending, housing demand, and we want to increase the tax bases. The goal is not just relocation. It's long-term community strength. So now we'll go through the program details. Who can apply? Again, local leaders know their communities best. So whether it makes sense for you to apply as your city, just you, or maybe you should partner with your county, because some people will live in your county, work in your city. Federal tribes are also eligible for this, and eligible nonprofits. So sometimes it's the three of those groups working together to have a good program. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. And the applications that you put together, the partnerships that are there, and Kathy will talk about what the local commitment is that's required. But we can, if you have questions about the process or the application, she might be able to give you some coaching in what will work both to be successful with the program and the application.
So who's it designed to benefit? Well, we want to move people into the state that have a minimum income of $55,000, but that's a household income. So it's not a real high hurdle. We want this to be tied to your local recruitment strategy. We want it to help address your workforce needs. And we want you to set those community-specific programs and rules about what you think you want, what the type of people you want coming into the community, what attributes do they have. We let you set those. So there is a funding match required. Each community can be awarded up to $250,000 through a competitive process. There is a local match required, but it's a pretty flexible local match. And we'll talk later about some unique ways people have met that 20% match, but that's required. Then there's a competitive review. Last year, we took the chair of both chambers, the House, the Commerce Committee, and we asked them to help us go through these applications and make sure we're picking the right one. And we wanted, of course, the best community fit. The strongest proposals reflect that you've looked at your local workforce needs. And this was a surprise to me, but probably not to you, housing realities. There were some communities who really wanted to bring people in, but they don't have the housing. So we do look at that to make sure you've considered that in recruiting people. So eligible incentives. Again, this is designed about what you think is the best thing to do. Many of our award winners use it as housing assistance. So up to $5,000, either for rent or to purchase a home. Relocation assistance, student loan assistance. That's something a lot of people are looking for. Childcare assistance. I've seen that less, but that's, again, it's what you think is going to incent people to come to your community. Yeah, it's just locally aligned with your community. So the way it works is once you are selected as an award winner of this grant, you're given 50% of the money right away. Then after you get 50% of your goal, so if you say, with this money, we will get 10 people to move to our community. When you have successfully documented that you have 5 people committed to move to your community, you'll get the second half. So the steps, well, the first step is to plan and partner. So decide whether that partnership is with city and county, or that partnership can be about businesses. And we see that as being successful. You may have businesses who are really looking to bring people in. So talk to them, and that may be where some of your 20% comes from. You'll apply, hopefully you'll be awarded, and then you start recruiting people. We do require quarterly reports, and the cycle opened July 1, it'll be open for 6 weeks. So what do strong applications look like? They're specific, realistic, and locally grounded. So the 5 pillars of a strong proposal would be, now I'm not saying all of these have to be in your proposal, just giving you ideas of what looks good and what you might want to do. But if you've got better ideas, again, we want your community to make those decisions. But employer partnerships make a lot of sense. Housing readiness, as I mentioned, is something that we didn't realize is important, but it is important. A marketing plan. How are you going to get the people here? We understand Make My Move came in and gave a presentation. They're great with marketing, but I just had a call with someone this morning who said, we're pretty good with marketing. We'd rather handle that ourselves. Whichever way fits your community, great. Local match. And so you need to demonstrate that you do have the 20% and measurable goals. So we'll want to set clear targets for your recruitment, documentation, and reporting. And the best applications answer one question clearly: why will this strategy work here? Partnerships matter. So local government, employers, housing partners, schools, economic development, community ambassadors, partnerships help people stay. So people we think are looking for affordable living, great school and childcare. We're looking for quality of life that can vary from different applicants or different people wanting to come to community. Definitely career opportunities, whether that's remote or whether that's actual on-the-job work. This one, we've heard from people who were successful, And last year was the first year the state gave money. But this idea of incentivizing people to move by giving them money, it's not new. And what we've heard from successful people or communities who have successfully administered a program like this is that people want to feel like they belong. People want to feel like you want them in your community. So I was going to cover this later, but I'll just give you some examples. There's one community that there's a woman who has a lot of chickens, and so she has a lot of eggs. And so part of their 80% is that she'll deliver a dozen eggs once a month. And it's funny, but it's also the kind of kitschy thing that makes people feel like I could belong here. This lady's going to come to my house and give me a dozen eggs. Another community has the football team come unload your moving truck. Again, that's what makes it feel like we're going to be accepted here, and this is going to be the new home. And a clear message. So think about what your message is before you start recruiting, and get your community to support you in that.
Yeah, what's great with those examples you gave is it's a cashless way to be able to meet the 20% if there are ways where you can actually catch two objectives in that process.
So what are some recruitment ideas? Well, this is what we've heard. People who grew up in your community. When we first heard about this, I said, this is a great grandma program. You know, I've got grandkids and I want them back with us. So if you want to encourage people to try to get their children to come back home with those grandbabies, that's a good place to go. Military transition programs. So talk to people who are involved in that. And what you guys know so much more about than me is that remote or hybrid flexibility. That's a really great way to get people. Graduates from your colleges or technical schools in your area, spouses and family connection with local employers. So that's again where the local employers can really help you. And people seeking affordable, safe communities. And, you know, we saw that a lot at COVID, that people wanted to come home. And third-party relocation companies, and Make My Move is an example of that, but there may be other examples. Accountability. So a good reporting tells the story of the impact. And for us to keep getting funding, we need good stories. We need you to be successful. We want you to, but we need you to. So would receive your application. We would want you to start recruiting households. You also need to be keeping track of the economic impact in order for us, again, to keep funding this, and for your own needs to understand whether this program has really been helpful to you. So you can capture payroll, spending, housing, and community benefits. And milestones met, that allows us to give you that second half of the money to allow you to keep going. So how are we measuring that success? Quarterly reports, how many jobs are filled in your community, payroll added, households recruited, school enrollment, local spending. The strongest stories will combine a lot of this in order to paint a picture of a program that really makes a difference for your community. So here's a simple way to explain the return on recruitment. If you had 10 households, each household adds earnings and purchasing power. Families buy groceries, fuel, services, and supplies. And long-term, we get housing, we get a larger tax base for schools and civic life benefits. Next steps, turn in your application. Again, a lot of this is sort of competitive, but you're going to identify your workforce needs, confirm housing capacity, build employer and local partnerships, develop a clear incentive strategy, prepare local match and a budget, and then you're going to report that to us with documentation. And that is what I have, but if you have questions, I'd be glad to answer any of them for you.
I actually do have a question. So we got the grant last year, and we just hit our like halfway point today, actually, of our goals. So can we apply this year since we're still in the grant for next year, or do we need to wait till next year?
I think, I mean, my opinion would be go ahead and apply.
Okay.
I can't, it does not exclude you. And in fact, in some ways, it might make you a better recipient of the grant because you've been through the hurdles and
Mhm.
you know what you're doing next. But just be sure to demonstrate in that application how you'd continue to use that money and how your experience is going to help you.
Yeah, just because like the way that we had budgeted, I'm in Dodge City, by the way. The way that we had budgeted, we're like already out of funds for this year based on our relocation assistance. I mean, we're going to continue, obviously, but it just means that we're going to run out sooner next year.
Right. Well, I will say this, there, I don't think the intent is going to be to have more funding to get the last, the previous goal, but
Yeah.
maybe, it just depends what other applications come in, what makes sense. So it's hard to answer that specifically, except to
Okay.
say you're welcome to apply.
Okay.
And yeah, just show how that makes a difference. Your experience makes a difference. And set
All
a
right,
goal
thank you.
that you can make with the new money. I don't think the goal,
Mhm.
yeah, that makes sense.
I just think that we're how fast we're moving right now, we're probably going to be at our complete goal by the end of this year.
Oh, that's
Because
great.
our businesses have taken off with the marketing of it, and it's been pretty successful.
Oh, great. Well, and congrats on hitting the halfway point. So good deal there. And that should get at least the next payment for the current year.
And if any of you have questions on your specific application along those lines, feel free to give me a call. You can call the treasurer's main number and ask for Kathy, or just ask for Home in the Heartland and they'll know to send it to me, and we can help you through that process.
We do
Thank you.
have a question in the chat. It is, are regional planning commissions eligible to apply on a regional basis?
I will have to look specifically off the top of my head. I absolutely believe that's.
I
think
so.
it's encouraged,
So,
frankly.
yeah.
Yes.
So I will give it a provisional yes on that, and we will follow up with Keegan to just make sure. I cannot imagine why that would be excluded.
I can't either.
So,
I think it should be encouraged.
Yeah.
If you put your contact information, I can give you a call in the chat, Keegan.
I absolutely love this. How do I sign up for the free eggs? I don't think I
I want that too.
Which community?
I think it's Lincoln, Kansas. Off the top of my
There you
head.
go.
Oh, yeah, there you go. There you go. Just to clarify, so the 20% match is not necessarily hard match. It can be in kind or value or speak to that.
Absolutely. The statute is specific to that. Yes.
Okay. All right. So some in kind services, valued products or whatever can be.
Absolutely.
The value can be calculated toward that 20% match. Okay. Keegan did put his contact info in the chat, so capture that.
And Kyla, thanks for weighing in. Dodge was one of our brave communities that ventured forth without Make My Move. So you figured it out on your own how to make that fit. So that was exciting to see.
Yeah, we've been really successful. We just ran it through economic development, and we have private contributions for us, the businesses that contribute to our organization. And so those are the ones that are getting to use it. So it's kind of an incentive to our board, which we have a board of 80 members, so it's not small. And we hit 10 people today for relocation assistance, helping them move in. So.
Wow. Outstanding. Outstanding. I'm curious if you have a sense of the year one activity. Were those remote workers? Were those in-person workers weighted one way or the other?
We don't have that many who fully reported yet, but I have seen, honestly, more in-person workers than remote. I've seen a couple of remote.
Ron, from our standpoint, all of our relocations have been in person, but their wives or spouses have had remote work, if that helps at all. Probably about, I would say 5 or 6, the spouses were remote workers.
Very interesting. Thank you, Kyla. And Riley County is working on this as well. And I think at least one remote workers in that mix. But I'm glad this program is bringing in-person workers. I'm glad that it embraces opportunities for folks across the spectrum. Are there other questions? Feel free to unmute if you have a question to ask, or put a question in the chat. What was the geographic distribution of year one?
Pretty well across the state, actually. Yeah.
How many communities did we have?
12.
So
Excellent. Are there other questions from our participants? There was a mention of the first-time homebuyer program. Does that connect with this? That's a separate program, but it is another resource, right? For
potentially could. So it's definitely another resource that is there. The first-time homebuyer program is one that anyone can take advantage of. Typically, that might have a little more planning to be in Kansas, where you're taking an income tax deduction while saving towards that down payment. So it might be something, if someone doesn't have a home and they start by renting, they could decrease their state income tax, and the earnings on their savings would be tax-free from a state perspective towards that first-time home purchase, should they have not made that purchase before. So we're able to get some college students to move back to Kansas and relocate and start their life. That could be one other tool that Kansas offers to help them move forward.
That's wonderful.
It might be good to make sure your recruiters know that, even without.
Any other questions? I'm not seeing questions. We have had inquiries about a recording. So you'd have a chance to go back and take a look at those slides. Certainly the best bet is to go to the State Treasurer website and go directly to the website. Applications are open now, but as I understand it, there is a deadline.
6 weeks.
6 weeks. So
from July 1.
From July 1, 6 weeks. So mid-August. So be aware of that and make sure. As I said, people have asked about the recording of this. It is being recorded. We have some staff out on vacation, so give us a little bit of grace. It'll be a bit before we get this recorded, but we can share that link. KansasRemoteWork.com is a link that will provide information about the remote work, including previous Remote Work Wednesdays and a recording of today's program. Any other questions? You all did a super job of covering the topic. I see thank yous in the chat.
So, and thank you for attending. If the slides are helpful, let us know. We're glad to forward that, but just give a shout, and good luck through the application process. All the best to those of you who venture forth and join Dodge City and our other communities in making use of the program.
Thanks. Thank you for your leadership on this. We're giving you a virtual round of applause.
All right. Thank you.
Oh, there.
And, thank you. So I appreciate all you do. I'll look forward to when we connect next and anything else we can work together on.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.